question, you will enter heaven. So he asked the first person, what's the name of the ship that sunk in the Atlantic about 100 years ago or so? The guy said, that would be the Titanic. He said, that's very correct, you can enter. He asked the second person, how many people died? The person said about 9,437. Correct. Good. Enter. He now told the third person, name them. So after listening to Professor Martin, I feel like the guy they told to name them. I see, it's terrible. I was supposed to speak first though, but I now looked and said, I did not know that it was the Holy Spirit that was pushing me to speak first. So I feel like giving a summary of what the Prof said, so that we'll just call it today, because you can see I'm stammering, right? And Joachim is going to give me topic, civility of lay faithful for political participation. And he said, civility lay faithful for political participation. Please send it to me in a message. Send it. I said, send it through WhatsApp in case the first one was wrong. So he now said, what you will do is try to look at the manual. I looked at the manual and I got even more confused. This thing is that theology class now. I'm an ordinary lay faithful, so which one is my own inside? So I felt the best thing to do was to try to simplify it as much as possible. Yes. So let's dive into the topic, civility of lay faithful for political participation. Let's look at the next slide. These are our learning objectives. We're going to try and see whether at the end of this discussion, we'll be able to look at the coherence between faith and life. As Christians, as Catholics, what's the coherence between the gospel and our culture? This thing they call inculturation, which is one of the main points or cardinal points of the Second Vatican Council. We're going to look at how, as Christians, we are urged to fulfill our duties faithfully in the spirit of the gospel, and how, as Christians, we should consider that we are living in heaven now, or we are giving our colleagues a taste of what heaven should look like. Should we live different lives from what we plan to live in heaven on earth? And how, as Christians, we should be proud of the opportunity to carry out this earthly activity, as we'll soon see, in ways that integrate our religious values with our activities on earth. Then we'll continue by trying to define some terms. What is civility? What does it mean for someone to be civil? It's the practice of showing respect, kindness, politeness. It's easy to do these things, but it's usually more difficult to do it when you are not agreeable with the person. Somebody comes and says, no, this thing you're doing that does not make sense. And you say, I see your point of view, but the reason I'm doing this is because of 1, 2, 3. That's what civility is. We're getting somewhere. Then what is lay faithful? I jokingly say that when they call us who are not clergy, they call us lay faithful because we lay eggs. Because think about it, why do they call us lay faithful? Why don't they call us non-clergy? Because we lay the eggs that eventually become the church. The catechism of the Catholic Church says that the priest is gotten from the congregation to serve the people. Right? It's like my place. They say that when a masquerade, as time is behaving, they will say, see the tree that they carved it from. The priest is gotten from the people to serve the people. So, lay faithful are Catholics who are not ordained, but they are faithful because they are dedicated to be members of NFCS. They are literally living the faith. So, as lay faithful, we are called to understand that our own journey as Christians, unlike clergy people, is supposed to be a gradual, a day after day, something that people will see. So it's easy to say, Father Donatus is around, let's clap for him. But I'm in my hostel, I'm in my department. Am I laying eggs that will become the future? Then we'll end by saying, what is politics? From now on, after this next slide, we'll start discussing the fact that a politician is not necessarily Simelai or Fubarade your day, make a day my day. Because if you ask me, the best politician that exists are mothers. My mother has 4 children. We have very different personalities. She finds a way to ensure we are all loved, cared for. She has only 4. Her mother had 14. And nobody ever came and said that you love this one more than me. She finds a way to appease my dad, myself, my brother. So we'll soon start redefining politics, because we'll start delving into the idea of how are we as lay faithful, how can we be civil in our dealings, and how can we be politicians without necessarily joining APC or PDP. So politics, according to dictionary, the one all of us have, is activities associated with governance of an area. That area could be River State, Nigeria, Department of Pharmacology, Chapel of Annunciation, Blue Army, an area. Someone that is associated with the governance in an area is a politician. It could be my mother in her kitchen. Are you following my drift? Yes, that's what politics is. And most importantly, politics is aimed at improving the status of people. So when people want to go into politics, or when people are politicians, they aim to improve the status of people. Let's do the next slide. So now let's delve into the matter. Why should Catholics participate in political life? But Catholics participate in political life because the church encourages it. In fact, the church venerates saints like St. Thomas More, who are politicians who stand for what is right, who were probably even martyred because they stood and refused to flee from what is right. But for purposes of this discussion, I want to draw us to sphere of influence and improving status, and why the Holy Mother Church would want lay faithful to be politicians to improve status in our sphere of influence. In fact, politics nowadays usually is organic. The best politicians are usually those ones that are concerned with their local area. The most popular politician in Nigeria today, we didn't know him from billboards. We knew him because he improved the sphere of influence in a part of eastern Nigeria. We didn't really know him then. In fact, he now came for a program and I was telling us that we should be more prudent, more frugal, and start debunking the usual things we know about politics. And all of a sudden, he has a sphere of influence. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So if Peter comes today and says, please, I am coming to Chapel of Annunciation by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Sorry for the short notice. What do you think will happen? We'll call for security. Not for him, but for the stampede that will occur here, right? Sphere of influence. If Sim comes today and says, I'm coming to Uniport tomorrow, 4 p.m. We may not necessarily call for security. We'll call for security. We'll call for security because National Association of Society will come and start hitting drugs. And maybe when money comes out, they will have to use police to share. Sphere of influence. I'm trying to make a case for the fact that politics is really not about poster, banner. Politics is about course rep, lecturer, mother, father, and be civil in trying to improve the status of people. Sometimes we see people who are not necessarily Christians, but they are upright. And we trust them far more than we trust even people who are Catholics. The point I'm trying to make is that the church or the Laity Council is trying to explain to us, as we will soon continue to see, that the first thing we need to do in engaging our sphere of influence is to be civil. Is to be civil. One of the last things I will ask in this discourse is, why do you think this topic is important in our national life today? Because all of a sudden we see people, Christians and non-Christians alike, trying to make their points, even in political spheres, by not being civil, by spewing hate, by not being loving, because they want to impose. Those are not politicians. Those people are after their pockets. If you want to be a politician, you have to have a sphere of influence where you improve. I'm a member of St. Vincent de Paul. And because of the way I behave, because of the way I act, because the Catholic, the Christ-like lifestyle I live as a member of St. Vincent de Paul, people now tell me, why not become the chairman of the what they call our regions again? No. In Catholic Church, we have regions. This one. It's like president. When we go for catechetical,
Dinari.
Why not become the chairman of the Dinari? Why? Because in trying to be civil, in trying to behave properly, I've been able to let us see whether this man is. Let us see whether this woman is. Let's go to the next slide. Part of what I was supposed to talk about was the fact that there's a Catholic principle. No, continue the next slide. There's a Catholic principle on pluralism. There's a Catholic doctrine on pluralism and politics. That's what the manual says. Pluralism is a condition or system in which two or more principles or sources of authority can coexist. And the recognition of political rights may not be made dependent on citizens' religious convictions or activities. And it's the right of Catholics to seek the truth with sincerity and to promote, defend justice and freedom, especially for human life and the right of anybody. Look at what pluralism means. The Catholic Church comes and says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, right? That's an authority, right? Before the Catholic Church came to our fathers, if you kill somebody or you steal from somebody, was it supposed to be right or wrong? Good. So it was probably not the church that came to tell me not to steal or kill. Pluralism. Two authorities can exist on a matter and coexist. That is why sometimes politics or improving sphere of influence is usually not related to religion, as the first speaker had tried to say. When we are growing up, maybe because of the orientation like he talked about we had, when a northerner tells you this sweet is 5 naira,
it was 5 naira.
He was not Christian. Those are the things that still happen in developed countries. When a Japanese man tells you this is what we used to do this thing, you can go to the bank with it. Not because he doesn't know what Jesus Christ is. He's a Shintoist. But he has learned to be civil in his participation, and he has learned to increase his sphere of influence. So everybody knows that Aboki man to be somebody who says it the way it is. So let's assume it's an investigation. See how important politics is. It's an investigation that the life and death of a man depends on what Odigie will say. Then now ask my Oga, the man may pass now. Odigie without finish, she said no. He knows him. The man didn't want to tell us, Oga, I go buy your worship. He not concerned now. Is the Odigie man rich? Was it the richest people? No. But we knew them in their dealings to be civil and to exert an influence in a particular sphere. I think the Holy Mother Church or the Laity Council at the case with you know the talk Holy Mother Church now make Father Bongo, let me say what's my problem. I think what we are being told, beyond all the plenty English I saw in this place, is the fact that as Christians, as people who lay eggs, that we eventually hatch to become the future, the church wants us to engage people in manners that are becoming of Christ, in manners that are becoming of Christians. The church does not want us to wait till we are in heaven to start accommodating the views of the next person. Now let's continue the next slide. We are running up. Civility of lay faithful for political participation. The church encourages the lay faithful to participate in political activities. Yes, that is a given. The church feels or hopes that as the people who lay the eggs are the people who should continue to live a life that is a continuous testament as perennial or eternal members of NFCS who continue to live the faith. They envision that if we eventually get into political office, we will be able to dissipate or discharge our duties with at least some fear of God, the way they put it, right? But beyond that, the church understands that we cannot all be APC, PDP. No, the church expects us to vote. The church expects us to participate in civil discourse, like the manual says. But most importantly, the church expects that we do not do politics every 4 years. The church is calling us to do politics every day, to exert some kind of influence in our area as cost rep, as for example, I am in my department. I try to give good lectures. I do my best. I tell my students, I will come for your exam and I will place you one in the perfect example of the right hand. You don't know what the left hand is doing, right? And I tell my students, your result will be fair, right? I find out with experience that kind of lecturer, that kind of politician, we have students who will come to class because the class is refreshing, enjoyable, who will read for exam because they know say that exam. Are you getting me? So when younger colleagues ask the senior colleagues, oh boy, how far this course? They say, oh boy, you go read though. You go read, if not the F, you go collect. I'm talking about normal thing. They sort of, I'm a need to collect money. I am a perfect politician in my own sphere. So the student may be doing 5 courses, but you read my course. You see what influence is? I'm not going to say, you, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. It's just doing it year in, year out, day in, day out. So in everything, the church is calling us to exert some kind of influence in what we do. Civility is an important element, second paragraph, in the political participation of lay faithful. Lay faithful should engage in discussions and debate with respect, honesty, and charity. Civility also means acknowledging the legitimacy of diverse opinions. If you have gone for youth service in a far-flung area of the nation, the first thing that strikes you is a culture shock. No, because they don't for where I come from. Are you getting me? They may not be as ambitious as served in the north. They may not be as ambitious. They may not be as what they want now, as determined. They may be a lot laid back. But there is lifestyle for you. The tenets of integrity and forthrightness is the same everywhere. Are you getting me? Because there's a saying that says that after the game, the king and the pawn goes into the same box. So why are we fighting? Why are we quarreling? Why are we embezzling? Why are we not doing this politics matter right? If we are going to go into a box for eternity, and we are going to at best live a life of affluence for 40 years, and like scripture says, most of these are empty. I mean, I say 40 years because let's assume you start working and you start seeing money when you're 30 or 40. The span is 70 years, 80 for those who are strong. Most of these are emptiness and pain. This is the psalm. They pass swiftly and they are gone. So we are encouraged today to do politics and do it right. Let's go to the next slide. The summary. This is what we'll try to discuss. Number one, why should Catholics participate in political discourse? Why should I be interested in who is my consul? Why should I be interested in who is my governor? Why should I be interested in political discourse? What is the role of civility in such participation? Why should I be different during SCG election when everybody is baying and shouting? Should I just be clear and say, I prefer this man because of 1, 2, 3? If you prefer this man because of 1, 2, 3, doesn't mean you are more or less of a student than me. We just go there and do what we need to do. If all Catholics, not all Christians now, if all Catholics in this university decide to be civil in their political mathematics or calculation, not Christians, just Catholics, we will stand out. They will not say, this man made a shout, this man just makes his point, or this woman makes his point, without quarreling, without fighting. Then gradually, we will not start becoming the reference. They make noise. Let's listen to this man whenever talks sense. Every time when talking, they make sense. How does pluralism help us in our civil participation in politics? How is it possible for you to see 6 and for me to see 9 and for both of us to be correct? Why do we need to tell ourselves that even though I am right, I may not necessarily be correct? And even though he is correct, he may not necessarily be right. And who says that 2 of us are necessarily correct or right? Because the truth, though eternal, can change. And why is this topic central to our national discourse today? In the light of the kind of elections we saw 1 year ago or 18 months ago, why should we as Catholics now start harping? Why should we as Christians now start harping on the importance of being civil even when we disagree? I don't like this political candidate. I don't like what he did here. And I don't like what he did here. And even though I support and respect your right to vote for him, I would not be voting for him. I think that is what the Laity Council is trying to make us see. So go back to the topic, that very big topic. Civility. Civility. Let's go to the first slide. Civility. Right? Of lay faithful for political participation. Thank you very much.